Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, we are up to episode 81 of Mystery Reviews. My gosh, it's been a while. So, yeah, episode 81. And in the month of February, these reviews will be of movies that have a romantic part in them or an element of romance in them. So, this movie can't have overt romance due to the lead at the time being a minor. She was only 15, 16 years old doing this movie. So yeah, however, the story does have an element of romance in it. Now, the hints that I gave for this film were it was a fantasy film with romance. It was done in the 80s. There were two versions of this film, or rather, two different cuts, maybe three. The third one was kind of an amalgam of the two, intercut, so to speak. But this movie was the 1985 film Legend with Tom Cruise and Mia Sara, Tim Curry, Robert Picardo, Billy Barty, and many others. This film had great casting. The story is meh, but the but the visuals is where this movie truly shines. Now, before I get started, let me say hi to the chat. Hello, Vanja, Elena, and Neozoic. Good to see you. And also, before I get further, or before I actually get this thing started, I do want to let people know that as of today, for mystery reviews, because mornings would be competing with other channels that love to soak up the viewers, I am going to be moving my mystery reviews to this time at 2:30 in the afternoon on Tuesdays. That way I can have a little bit more viewership possibility and a little bit more absorption of content, you know? But without further ado, getting into it, 1985, Ridley Scott wanted to do a fantasy film. Now, he originally couldn't back when he wanted to originally, which was back in 77. However, we all know what happened in that year. So he kind of had to put his story on the back burner. Now, I should also point out that other cast members in this movie include Kieran Shaw, who a lot of people will know, maybe not by his face. If you see a little person a lot with a funny voice in movies nowadays, it's most likely Kieran Shaw. He also played one of the Hobbit-sized scale doubles in Lord of the Rings. I believe he played Frodo's scale double. So yeah, he was in this film and much younger. Now, the film I'm reviewing is the theatrical version. However, I can draw comparisons from my memory to draw comparisons to the UK version, which I have seen, and I also have the physical copy of. The UK version was not, or the best way to differentiate between the two versions is this version has the Tangerine Dream music from the group Tangerine Dream. The theatrical version, which is also known as the UK version. The director's cut or European version has the Jerry Goldsmith score, which was pretty much refused in the Americanized version of this film. Now, this theatrical version also does have a prologue, which I will read. It's quite extensive, so just bear with me. Once long ago, before there was such a thing as time, the world was shrouded in darkness. Then came the splendor of light, bringing life and love into the universe, and the Lord of Darkness retreated deep into the shadows of the earth. plotting his return to power by banishing light forever. But precious light is protected, harbored in the souls of unicorns, the most mystical of all creatures. Unicorns are safe from the Lord of Darkness. They can only be found by the purest of mortals. Such a mortal is Jack, who lives in solitude with the animals of the forest. A beautiful girl named Lily loves Jack with all her heart. In their innocence, they believe only goodness exists in the world. Together, they will learn there can be no good without evil, no love without hate, no heaven without hell, no light without darkness. The harmony of the universe depends on an eternal balance. Out of the struggle to maintain this balance comes the birth of legends. Now, some things I will be going over a couple of repetitive things because I went out of order with the talking points a little bit. So if I do repeat some stuff, I am going by the talking points from here on out. Sorry for the repetition. Now, some things to note before we go any further. The music in the theatrical version is done by Tangerine Dream. I already covered that. And it is done well. I do like how the score plays into certain emotional weight and ebb and flow of the movie. The European version holds the Jerry Goldsmith score, which fits more to a timeless version of the film that includes alternate scenes and deleted scenes, but pack into the film as well as added songs by actress Mia Sara. Now, the film begins with a nice forest setting at night that shows a bear cub coming in, going after a beehive, getting some honey, and it's intercut with the character of Blix, a goblin, played by the talented Alice Playton. Now, Blix's look is based on Keith Richards, an extreme exaggeration or a caricature of Keith Richards at the time. Let me actually see if I could pull this up for you. Blix, Keith Richards, side by side pick. Apparently they're not showing it, but basically, let me see if I can find it. Legend Blix Keith. Maybe I try Legends or Blix Keith Richards. Yeah. Let's see here. Boy, Keith Richards was really ugly. Well, here's the best picture they got that did the side-by-side. So let me just share this with y'all. Present, share, Chrome tab, Blix Keith Richards. So yes, the character of Blix right here, this ugly little shit, was based off of Keith Richards, as you can well see back in the day. Rather good caricature of him. And that's no joke. I mean, Keith Richards inspired a lot of looks. I mean, even Hoggle from Legend kind of looks like an older Keith Richards. So Blix is going through the forest and he comes across the great tree, which is basically Darkness's or Lord of Darkness's domain. Now, the forest setting of this movie, where you see the snow scenes and other scenes, this movie was mostly done on a studio at Pinewood Studios. However, there are some forest scenes which had a nice river area, which was done in Florida after the fire in Pine Street Studios or in Pinewood Studios in London, England. The fire would delay production. The production of this movie was hell, folks. That is no joke. And a fun fact about Blix, the character is male, yet played by a female. And later on, there's a character called Meg Mucklebones, who is played by, or who is a female played by a male. She's the Bog Witch. So stop sharing that for a moment. I mean, the makeup that went into this film is top-notch makeup. They did excellent work. And yes, for those of you who do notice, I have a little shaved. And yes, I realize that this is kind of turned this way a little bit. Sorry about that. I've never done it before. Wanted to try new things. So, continuing on. We get the introduction to the film shows, or the introduction of the film shows hell as well. And we see Darkness's domain. Now, he's cast in shadow. Basically, the US version of this film has him sitting in a chair, the full splendor of his look in the chair. Let's see if I can actually pull that up. Legend Darkness. And images. Let's see if I can find it. They got a lot of his looks and whatnot, but I want to see if they have him in the chair. The blue version of him. Because he's cast in blue, which is meant to emulate shadow. All right. Blue. There we go. Let's see if they give a full body shot of it. Which I don't think they're going to do. God damn it. However, I can show you the difference between what they did later on. Let me just share the screen here. I do like this, however. Hey, Stunning and Wave Megatron, or Stunning and Brave Megatron. Sorry, I saw waving and oops. But nope, that's the wrong button. Chrome tab. There we go. So, yes, we all know Darkness in this ruggedly ugly blue version here. Now, he's sitting on his throne in this scene where he's watching his demons, and they even have little people playing demons, but also giant, more bigger kind of guys cutting up these people, reacting and whatnot. You see them jerking as they bring down the blade. I mean, you see the disembowelment and whatnot. It's just great. And you hear him doing like a little prayer out to his mother, or to Mother Night, and how the unicorn's presence in the forest torment him. So they had him looking like this in the beginning of the UK version, or the US version, and then they have him, well, okay, that's just, let's see if we can get a bigger, more red version right here. But I do like the blue version, because showing that blue version looks like Hillary Clinton. Yeah, it does kind of, doesn't it? But I do like the blue version that they did, because by doing it, it shows that he is cast in shadow even though there's light all around him, which is an interesting visual if you think about it. This is the Lord of Darkness. So the fact that light refuses to touch him is actually a pretty cool visual style to go by. However, it is not repeated later on which would make the movie a little bit more objectively flawed. Orange Hat Reviews, would you rank Legend with other Ridley Scott films? I would rank it on the lower half of a top 10 if I had to do anything like that. While Legends is a visual, or is great visually, and it's an interesting and brilliant idea, it didn't have the best execution. It's a cult classic. Cult classics tend to be bad at the box office, but loved by everybody else, or loved by the audience, you know? So, yeah, I do like how his fingers and his eyes are green and glowing. His fingernails are glowing green and whatnot. And then, Blix comes in and he tasks Blix with finding the unicorns and to kill them and to bring the horns to him. And he's like, "What do they look like, Lord?" And so he grabs a knife and just slams it against his head. And he's like, "You fool, let this serve as a reminder. The creature has a single spiral reaching like an antenna straight to heaven." Now, mind you, this takes place in a fantasy setting. Antennas, the word antenna. Well, let's look that up, shall we? Antenna would be, well, they did have it in the insect use. So let's get rid of that. And he asks, what kind of bait is the perfect bait for these creatures? Innocence. So we then cut to the introduction of Lily. Now, the UK version in the scene where she is running or gallivanting through the forest has her singing. The UK or the US version doesn't. Blinks and his henchmen, Pox and Blunder, are watching her. And Pox is a pig. Blunder is this dude that's hidden in a helmet. And it looks like we got assholes in the chat. No, I am not. So, yeah. Figured that was going to start coming along. Now, we see how Lily is a princess, and we see her coming into a friend of her house, or a commoner who lives near the forest named Nell, and her husband is there too. And Nell visits, or likes when Lily visits. She's an older woman, and Lily plays a little prank on her, pulling loose the clothing line. And then she goes into Nell's home, which is feasted with food, or placed brilliantly. I mean, the set decoration in this film is just really well done. And she takes a little bit of food, and then she starts looking at a clock that has a rotation thing for the hours on hands, and she sees a vision of this clock covered in snow. And then she's pulled out of this vision by Nell's presence, and Nell is joking around with her and whatnot. And she says, "You shouldn't be, or I look on you like a daughter, but you really should start acting like the lady you are." And so she also has a way of coming out saying nothing, or not a king's command or a parade could keep me from the woods today, because she's there to meet up with Jack, played by Tom Cruise. And Jack wants to show her something. Now, y'all can get your little grins on right now. However, that's not what you think. Now, yes, there is a small makeout scene, but that comes later. So she goes out and she's calling to Jack, and Jack's watching her from afar, mooning around, making her a little bit uneasy until he comes out and scares her. and the goblins are still watching. They're given the air of danger as they continue to watch them. And Jack is basically a guy that is one with nature. He talks with animals. He can understand them without a word being spoken. He's kind of like a druid in a way. I mean, he also kind of looks like Peter Pan in that getup. And Tom Cruise had his hair longer from him just getting off of Risky Business. And he allowed himself to keep his hair long, so the next year or his next project would need it to be cut off, which was Top Gun, which I also do believe I did a mystery review for Top Gun, but not Maverick yet. Anyway, so we get them, or we get the small makeout section or session, and it can't be too extreme, or it can't be too suggestive, because remember, Mia Sara is young in this film. She is technically a minor, and Tom Cruise is 6 years older than her. That puts him around the 21, 22 age. Now, we also do see that Lily is somewhat spoiled in the UK version. She is a princess after all, so she does believe that she is above others in a certain way, but she is kind to her subjects. However, you do see a little bit of that impetuousness after the unicorns are scared off, but we haven't got to that section yet. Now, the unicorn scene, which Tangerine Dream did a beautiful theme to. I mean, that is on my playlist of instrumentals, the Tangerine Dream, the unicorn theme. I wish I could cut that bit in half, because you have the unicorn theme and then you have the goblin chase theme that is intercut with, or that is cut after it, but also in the same video. But yeah, I like Blunder. It's like, look, ugly one-horned mule. It's like fucking hell. I mean, you get some nice, or Blunder, and you get some good humor out of this story. And Blunder is just one of those guys that really brings the humor. So, Lily wants to touch one of the unicorns. It is expressly forbidden. Unicorns are the embodiment of purity and innocence. Now, she does, in the UK version, sing to the unicorn, and that does bring her to her. However, in the US version, you get the idea that it's more drawn to Lily due to her purity and innocence. However, she does have a bit of a spoiled bratness to her. Mia Sara is very well, as a teenager, she actually played this role very well. And how she did a very good job in seeming that she enchanted Jack earlier on with a reflective thing off of her or charm bracelet that she had, where she reflects the light into his eye a little bit, which plays a part later on in the film. Now, Jack is not happy about this when she goes to touch the unicorn, and the unicorn comes up. Also, during this, it's intercut with the goblin Blitz preparing a dart, or a stinger, as they call it. And hold on, we got chat here. Neozoic. Is it ironic that Legend and Blade Runner are both 80s cult classic films directed by Ridley Scott that bomb in the box office and both have unicorn in it? I'm going to be completely honest. I have not seen Blade Runner, so I can't tell you one way or another. Neozoic, yes, I know. I can hear everybody is like, oh my God, he has to see Blade Runner. But there's also a different cut version of that one as well. Super Sci-Fi, how you doing? Good to see you. So if everybody, by the way, could smash that like button and share out the stream, it really does help in trying to get my damn hours back up. I used to be at 3,200, but they dropped them heavily to 30. I'm literally at the cusp of 3,100. So if you guys could just help me out, trying to get the 4,000 so I could be eligible for monetization. I don't know whether I'll monetize immediately or not, but I want the option open to me. Trolls in the chat today, get them. I only saw a couple of them and they're gone. But I will take care of them. I also am taking screenshots because I know exactly who it is and I may present it as evidence in a harassment lawsuit if they keep their shit up. So yeah. Now, Lily or the unicorns. The horses that were used for the unicorns are white Andalusians specifically because of their size and because of their flowing manes of hair. Now, the way that they did the horns, yes, I do, but I'm not going to get into it, Super Sci-Fi. The way that they did the horns for the unicorns, I mean, when you see these unicorns galloping, you could see the horns wiggling like this. And you could tell that they're not affixed to the skull of the unicorn or of the horse. Just had snow fall off the roof. One of the things that is also pretty interesting to note in the credits of this film, unicorn handling. Not horse handling, unicorn handling. That's also pretty freaking funny. So, yes, Lily is just about, she finally touches the male, and that's when Blix shoots the stinger, and it sets them off, and they run off the unicorns, and then it's a chase with the goblins, and she's running to find Jack, and Jack is telling her what you did is forbidden. These are that they're sacred animals and that she risks her immortal soul. So by the way, this is Legend, Super Sci-Fi. And so she's like, I only wanted to touch one. Where's the harm in that? Well, you risk their being tainted. These things are literally the embodiment of purity and innocence. If they harbor any sort of interest in impurity, the taint can be there. That's my theory on it anyway. But he eventually does forgive her. But as this is happening, you see the intercut of the goblins chasing after this thing. You also see the clouds forming, storms and whatnot. And she presents her challenge that or I can present a challenge to my suitors. It's only natural that I do. And she'll marry whoever finds the ring, and she tosses the ring. Well, the ring falls into the water, and without hesitation, he goes after it. And she's freaking out because she didn't expect him to do it. And it was a pretty high dive that he dives off of. And while this is happening, you hear the unicorns, or the unicorns are getting cornered. The male is angry because he has the stinger in him, and he's also brought down because of the poison in the stinger. And as Jack runs out of air, he comes up and he hits his head on ice. The lake is frozen over. There's snow, rain, petals are falling around the unicorn. Red petals, mind you. It's all visually well done. Like I said, visually, this movie is freaking phenomenal. Story, meh. But anyway, so Blix then slices the unicorn's alicorn off. They call the horn an alicorn. ALICORN. And they run off now, as soon as the Alicorn is taken off and Blix holds it up, that's when Jack is able to bust through the ice that froze the lake. Now, mind you, he busted through like 2-inch thick ice to get out, running rapidly out of air. His lungs are on fire, and he yet is still able to, or he takes a humongous breath as soon as he comes out. Wait, you said fantasy. Never ending story. No, the movie is called Legend, super sci-fi. Legend, Legend, with Tom Cruise. Now, he calls for Lily. He's looking for Lily. And Lily's running through what is now created a blizzard because of what has happened. All the events that transpired that led to the enchanted death of the mayor. Where would you rank Legend with other Tom Cruise films? Risky Business, Top Gun, Eyes Wide Shut, Last Samurai. As this is, or from the movies that I have seen out of the list you did, Edge of Tomorrow, Last Samurai, Top Gun Maverick. This movie, honestly, out of all the Tom Cruise movies, it's in my top 5. In fact, it's like Top Gun Maverick, Top Gun, Last Samurai. Actually, no. Top Gun Maverick, Last Samurai, Top Gun, Edge of Tomorrow, and Legend are my top 5 Tom Cruise movies. So she goes back to Nell's house. Lily does. And she sees that Nell and her husband are literally frozen solid. Everything in the house, snow has come into. They're enchantedly frozen solid, mind you, because of what has happened inside, or because of what she has done by causing the unicorn to be killed. Now, she doesn't get to have any real way of thinking about it because the goblins immediately show up as well behind. She hides, and Blix comes in and shows off the power with the horn, and how, Pox is eating some stuff, and you also see freaking Blunder eating some stuff. He just starts digging into some of the soup while Blix is shooting stuff with the unicorn horn. Junebug, good to see you. Now, the way that Blix likes to speak, for the most part, is a very rhyme-centric kind of way. Higher, higher, burning fire, making music like a choir. Mortal world, turn to ice, here be goblins' paradise. Those are some of the things that Blix says, and he speaks somewhat. He doesn't always speak in rhyme, but he does use rhyme a lot. It's kind of in a fantasy way. However, compared to Darkness speaks sometimes in a more Shakespearean way, especially when he's enacting the art of seduction on Lily later on. Well, as far as a romantic movie, I am glad you're not reviewing one of those movies. Yeah. Sorry for the cough, folks. But yeah, I have my movies in the streams already set out. If you actually look at the playlist for mystery reviews, these movies, or the playlist was created, I believe, these streams were created early in January. But yes, you see that they have their fun and then they leave, and Lily decides to make things right, so to speak. Well, Jack is now in the blizzard and still looking for Lily. How he hasn't frozen to death is insane. Lily tracks the goblins, and Jack is now visited by the fairy folks. Gump, Una, Brown Tom, Screwball. Now, Gump, let's see, is played by David Bennett, and he looks like this little boy. And here be a forest child. Never heard of the Gump? It's like, what the fuck? Now, this whole scene in the UK version is way out there with weirdness. They do, or you see in the US version that Gump is carrying a violin. Well, in the UK version, they put the full scene in there where there's a whole musical number, and you also see the other fairy folk, Screwball and Brown Tom, man. Cork Hubbard as freaking Brown Tom is hilarious. He just comes off as one of the best people in this freaking film. Every scene that Brown Tom and Screwball are in, especially Billy Barty, who is one of the more famous little people, the dwarf people. Man, God rest Billy Barty. And Cork Hubbard, I also believe, has passed on. But these guys are just freaking hilarious. And I'll tell you, specifically when Cork Hubbard truly shines in this film is Brown Tom. So they go to seek out why some weirdness is going on, and they in the UK version they're more judgmental on Jack. In the US version, they're more forgiving on Jack. Jack admits what he did, took Lily to see the unicorns, and then admitted that she touched one, and they got to find out what's going on. Well, after their little nice drinking bit where they drink from these little fucking cups, this thing is barely half a sip, but it's one of those elderberry wine kind of drinks. Oh, careful now. And it's just, wow. The scene is beyond weird. Hey, Ruben Thomas, good to see you. Well, so getting back into it, they're tracking down, or they're looking for Lily. They're tracking down and Jack hears the unicorn on the wind. It's pleading and it's crying out. And the scene between Jack and the female unicorn, how she's heartbroken. You see the male is covered in the snow. His head is down. He's tucked down and missing his horn. And the female comes in to defend her, or the mare, or the steed, or stallion, rather. And you also hear that she's dismayed. And he also is apologizing. I am sorry, I meant no wrong. And when he's standing before her, you see the light shining beneath the unicorn in between both of them. That's actually a brilliant way of kind of showing off the majesty of a unicorn. But she also, or not a word is spoken except from him in English when he is apologizing. And then he turns around to walk away and explain what's going on. Again, he can understand animals. And so he does understand her. And so he explains that we're cursed. Or until we get the Alicorn back, the world will be as it is, falling in the darkness forever. And so it's like, well, we're going to need a champion. And he's like, I know nothing of weapons, or you'll do, but Gump, I know nothing of weapons. You're fuck up. You're doing it. Doesn't matter. I know where we can find the best weapons, because obviously, of course, Gump does. And they go into the cave, and Una guides Jack through, and then Una reveals herself to Jack that she can turn into a human-sized person. So, it is a nice way of showing that she wants Jack to keep the promise that she can do anything or that she can change her form. So then he gets the armor and the golden plated armor, basically, and the sword, and they head out. Well, now we see the goblins are waiting for darkness to show up, and we see Blix's ego. And Blix is like, or I can be the ruler of the land. I don't need darkness. And he's blowing up the fire as he's waiting for darkness. And I just love how this whole scene happens. It's like freaking darkness comes up shrouded in cloak. Basically, it's not darkness himself, but it is a avatar of darkness, so to speak. And while Blix is cackling hysterically, Pox is like, Blix, Blix, Blix. And he's laughing and, Blix! What? Big D! And he's like, huh? So it's like, oh shit, the boss is behind me, you know? And, well, darkness is not happening. It's like, the unicorns are dead. Is this not true? And Blix is like, very dead, my lord, very plenty true. You lie. Here's dawn. And so Blix now has to come up with another excuse to save his life. But before this happens, Blunder decides, as soon as Blix tosses the horn to try to hide it, Blunder grabs the horn, and it's like, your reign is over, Lord of Darkness. I have the power. And it's like, oh, what the fuck, man? And Darkness is not having it. He's like, enough. Whips the calls the unicorn horn into his own hand. And it's like, whoa, shit. It was just a joke. And this dead body just springs up from nowhere, grabs Blunder, and holds on to him, walks into a dark pit where darkness came out of. And it's like, adios, amigos! It's just fucking hilarious. It's bad. It's hilarious and it's bad, folks. But it's still hilarious. So now you see the sun is coming up. So Stallion is dead. The mayor has no power, only the power to create life. Get the mayor. And until the mayor is dead, my power isn't going to be full power. So get the mayor. And Lily sees this. She's hanging out. Now, the problem with this set is that you can see set lights in the damn scene. And I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. You can actually see the damn set lights. So it's like, fuck, man. It's like playing a game of whack fuck here. Whack fuck. It's just, that is another really bad objective flaw. If you could see the reality of the setting, it doesn't work good in a fantasy setting, you know? So, getting back into it, she now goes to find Brown Tom, who's looking after the mare, the female, while the others are off getting weapons. And hold on one moment. I need to take a drink. Oh, much better. And so she goes to or Brown Tom sees her. He's like, you're the one who brought us all this sorrow. And she's like, I'm only trying to make things work. She's freaking heartbroken. She's trying to apologize and says that the goblins are coming after the mayor. And he's like, plucky or good lass, you're a plucky little partridge. She's trying to tell him, get your ass in gear, get the mayor and get out. Well, they show up behind her. And she's trying to tell him, hurry. He's not listening. And it's like, too late. You're looking for a fight. You come to the chapel to oblige you. And he has his frying pan. He was going to cook some sausage up for the mayor. And so Blix is shooting arrows at him, and he's dodging them and deflecting them with the pan. He's jumping around, turning around, showing his butt, and blocking from there too. He's like, oh, check this out. You can't beat me. You see that? You can't. And they get him in the head, atop the head, in the hat. And he's like, you're stuck. They're done for me. And then he falls over. It's like, what the fuck? I just love that scene. That is my favorite scene in the entire movie. You just can't beat me. Ding! You can't. You're stuck. They're done for me. And he just passes out. Well, then the others come back. And it's like, Brown Time, you can't be dead. Oh, Gump, Screwball, Jack Lad, they kill you too. Of course they didn't, but what the hell is going on? Goblins! Shot me through my brain pan. And they pull off his hat, and it's the bottle of wine that was under his hat that got shot. And it's like, oh my God. They swarmed up like the hundreds, and that girl. And it's like, Lily? So she's alive. Oh yeah, she was alive right before they killed me. And she's fucking hilarious. We gotta get the hell Corvette. So they get it. Oh my God, folks. So they follow the tracks through the snow. And they come across the Great Tree, which is Darkness's domain. Now, here, folks, is where you see one of two cameos from The Exorcist. The statue of Pazuzu is in this film. One, right before the bog, Meg's bog. And two, in the very next scene where you see the mayor chained up in the dungeons with Lily. So, yeah, they're like, I don't like it. I hate it. Good. You can go first. Why always me? Go. So Screwball, because he opened his big ass mouth, freaking goes, tries to find a way to navigate through the bog. And he's like, hey, I made it. He gets pulled into the water and everybody goes after him. And then this big, oh my God, I got to show you her, man. Meg Mucklebones from Legend, played by Robert Picardo, folks. Now, let me pull up some images. This thing is absolutely more snow is falling off. This thing is absolutely grotesque, and it is awesome. Now, let me just zoom in here. And Robert Picardo, in the making of this film, said that this makeup was like a sponge. So when they submerged him in the water, the suit really swelled up and soaked up it, and also kind of made the hunch on the back of the character look really good. So let me just share this so you can see what Meg Mucklebones looks like. There it is. And Chrome tab, Meg Mucklebones. Don't need to share tab audio. But yeah, look at that ugly thing, man. That's Meg Mucklebones. And she comes up out of the water and she's like, ugh, very tasty, fairy. And she sees Jack and she's like, come to me, juicy boy. And she's very fast. Now, in the UK version, or she's dispatched really quickly in the US version. And so she strikes up a small little conversation with Jack, and he's like, you don't really mean to eat me, do you, ma'am? And she's like, oh, indeed I do. Ha! And that's when she goes, ha! Like this. That's when, in the US version, Jack beheads her and kills her. In the UK version, he sweet talks her to drop her guard. And it's because of if they would have actually put the full scene in the US version, it would have worked better. Because some of the cut after he cuts her head off and stands up, you see that his shield is hanging on a tree where she hung it to admire her or to play to her vanity. Where he the reason why he cuts her head off in the UK version is like, give us a kiss before dining, and that's when he swings and slices her head off. But yeah, if they would have put the full context of the scene into the US version, it would have improved it drastically. No joke. So the brief scene with Meg Mucklebones works, but doesn't really work. It's a nice little interlude before we get into the main bit of the film. Now, the mayor's in Darkness's lair, where you see Pazuzu, the statue of Pazuzu, and also our Lily is now being watched by Darkness, and she starts running along everywhere, and the heroes end up falling into a trap that lands them into the dungeons. And the set work in the dungeon is, when I say that the set work, folks, is really well done, when I'm repetitive, it is fucking well done. This movie is a visual spectacle. Story, not so much. Now, Blunder pulls off his helmet, and you see Kieran Shaw with a nice little fro. And he's like, we're all in the same fix. And then the demons come to eat Blunder, and they pull him out. Well, the others are hiding so that they don't get eaten. And Jack basically recommends Una can fly over and get the keys. Well, there's just one problem. Everybody thinks that Una's just this little ball of light. So she flies up. She's like, our secret will live forever if we all die in here. So she ends up turning into her human form. Now, Una is played by the actress, what was her damn name? Who played Una? Well, I forget who played Una. Anyway, could have sworn I put it in here somewhere. But she uses glamour on Jack. Now, this movie overdoes it with the glitter. There's glitter on his face. There's glitter on her face. There's glitter on Lily's face. There's glitter fucking everywhere. And there's bubbles whenever there's magic in the air. Especially when Una is around, there's bubbles. You're in a hellscape. Bubbles. Weirdest thing ever. But it works. So she tries pretending to be Lily using fairy glamour. And Jack actually resists it because she's like, I'll do as you ask, but only if you kiss me, Jack. Fair enough. Gives her a kiss. So she plays as Lily. He's about to do it, but then he pulls back saying, this is just fairy glamour. Human hearts don't work that way. Well, she flies off, pissed off because Jack wouldn't give her a kiss. And Gump is like, your human sensibilities are going to get us all killed. Well, she comes back with the keys. And she's like, y'all look like you're prepared for your own funeral. And they want her, or she unlocks them, gets them out, and they end up moving around. So, Darkness seeks his father's, before that, they decide to split up. The little guys go together. Brown Tom and Screwball, Gump and Jack. And I love how freaking Billy Barty, he's like, there's just one thing I want to know. What's that? Why always me? So then you get the nice little scene of the overhearing of Darkness going to seeking out his father's counsel. This girl vexes me, and I've never felt such desire before. He desires her. He wants to marry her. He wants to get jiggy with it. Mia Sara comes across, she is 15 in the film, or during the making of the film. However, she does come across as more adult orient, or more adult looking. Now, you see her running through the area, how fire retreats from her as she walks through and then pops back up. And the father's voice is saying, woo her, charm her, seduce her, make her one of us, essentially. And so you then see that she's charmed a little bit. Now, they cut back to Jack and Gump going through one area where these cat people spring out of the ground and are trying to fight, and Gump wants to fight him, but Jack's like, come on, man, let's get the hell out of here. So there's that little distraction, which didn't make too much of an impact, really. Although I would have liked to see those people in their full splendor and being still so I could see what they looked like. Now, we see that Lily's seduction through glass baubles, and then the dance of darkness, where the shadow being is dancing in this dress that she ends up in as the shadow covers her. It's basically Lily's darkness. And you also have this little person dancing on a table, swaying to the that, and then when she allows the her own inner darkness to come out a little bit, which is the symbology of that other dancer in that dress that she ends up in, it's basically she's allowed herself to give into her vanity a little bit. That's a nice way of visual storytelling if you know how to understand it. And then as she's looking around, that she realizes she's in the dress, and she comes before the mirror. Well, darkness starts sticking his damn hands through the mirror and his hoofs through the mirror. He is a satyr, essentially. And then he comes out and she passes out because holy shit, this thing is, or something's coming out of this mirror. Now in the UK version, the European version, you actually see Darkness's head come out like this with his mouth open and his fangs and his horns. However, you don't see that in the US version. Before his head comes out, she's already passed out. And then he comes down smiling at, he's like, hey, baby. She wakes up, she's moving away. And it's like, and he starts his seduction. Nothing sexual. Seduction can mean foreplay, so to speak, or visual or verbal seduction as well. And Tim Curry as Darkness. Folks, 5 hours of makeup. The horns had to be screwed into his head, or into the apparatus of the head for the thing. It's like, holy crap, dude. These horns apparently were light but very sturdy. But my gosh, man, when he's swinging his head like this and it's not snapping his neck, it tells you that it worked very well. Also, the horns didn't wiggle or jiggle like the unicorn horns did. And he's trying to seduce Lily. And he also confronts her of her own darkness inside her and how it was her sin that led the unicorns to death. Now, Una had tracked Lily, and so she brought them up to looking where the light or the doors closed where Lily is, and Darkness explains his whole fucking plot to kill the unicorn and to let darkness reign supreme. And he also happens to speak out his only weakness. Sunshine is my destroyer. So, yeah. Jack remembers how, or knows how they can bring sunlight into the domain by remembering that Lily charmed him with her bracelet reflecting light. So we go back down into the dungeon, and they go and they grab these reflective plates that are humongous, and they're playing frisbee, and they wake up the freaking demons. So they end up fighting the demons. They're not getting anywhere, so they end up dipping one of the cauldrons that were in the fires, and causes a humongous steam, basically killing the demons. And I gotta say, it's nice visuals, and then you get the 3 cheers for our champion, hip hip hooray, and all that stuff. Cringy as fuck. For a movie that's mainly geared towards adults. So we then see the path to sunlight, and Screwball decides to climb up to get one of those plates up there so that they can reflect the sun down into the lair. And we then see the discussions of darkness. Even this scene was extended. The UK version shows that the Dark Throne is alive, this throne that he sits in, and he wants her to sit in it. And you see that this thing is bubbling beneath her ass. Tim and I share a birthday. Nice, Vanja. And she's like, I would rather stand. And he's like, sit! And then he realizes that his outburst may have scared her. And he's like, or stand, whatever you choose. And you see that the food and whatnot, you see that, or there is extra dialogue between her and him. And she also says, I do nothing for your pleasure, which pisses her off. What is the best, worst special effects in Legend, in your opinion? The best special effects is the practical effects of darkness, where you see flames in his fingers or cast off of his hands, and then the flames burst up around him. His pyrokinesis is very well done, and it really it does a great job at showing, or at the level of intensity. The worst effects, thinking about it, the worst effects probably are, let's see here. Anything that was digital in the film didn't, or even if that was small, like the little magic coming off of the unicorn horn, or him exploding in the stars, that was by far the worst. However, the best special effects were the practical special effects, which was the makeup and his horns. I mean, holy crap, dude. That whole set was great. The practical effects of this film, which are special effects of a sense, were very well done. It's just that when you brought the digital element into it to show him exploding into stars and whatnot, that wasn't so well done. Now, back to the scene where you see how he pisses her off, or how she pisses him off, and he starts walking toward her, and you hear the mayor scream, or you hear the male or the female unicorn in distress and whatnot, and she's like, I hear her throat begging to be cut. And he's like, are you so anxious to see blood flow as you are to drink it? Grant your bride but one wish. And he's like, you have but to ask. I mean, this dude was ready to kill, and then he's now super horny. And it's like he's kind of in between like murderous intent and just wants to ravish her. And she's like, I will stay with you or stay here with you as you wish, but on one condition. Anything. I want to kill the unicorn. And it's like, well, what brought this on? You know? It makes you wonder. And so then he starts laughing, and then he turns. Now, the UK version has him turning and stalking off, where in the US version, he turns halfway, and it cuts to dawn, the sunlight, getting ready to set upon the earth forever. This is a race against time, folks. The last unicorn has to die at night. And, or just before day, so that the sun will shine forever. Or just before nighttime, so that the sun can shine or set forever. Now, they see the unicorn ritual, and he's doing more prostrating, and how in the beginning there was nothing but darkness, yada, yada, yada. And then everybody's setting up their shots. They've already set up the reflective plates and whatnot. And they tell Una to fly like the wind to get Screwball to get ready. Screwball's falling asleep. And it's like, well, fuck, you know? So they're setting up their perches. And you see Jack take one look at darkness, and he's like, fuck. He's just, oh my God, man. But you also see that Lily is down there too in her little dark getup. And it's like, well, okay. But I do like Gump's words here. It's like, judge her with your heart, not with your eyes. Now, you also see that Darkness gives her the horn, and also, or actually gives her the sword. And it's like, come, lady, the dawn of a new era awaits your stroke. And she's like, let my offering be made of flesh and blood. Well, you think that she's actually going to kill this or kill the unicorn. And Gump is like, kill her, forget her. Well, he can't really do it. And you're like, do it. I'll do it. No. And it's like, okay. So then he trusts Lily, and we get reminded, I trust you, Lily. And I'll always trust you. And then she brings the sword down on the chain, and she screams for the unicorn to go free. Well, Darkness swats her for it. And that's when Tom Cruise goes down to go after Darkness. And I love this. It's like Darkness is just swatting him around, throwing him around, charges at him. His horns stop him. It's like, what have we here? A little boy. I mean, every time, and this is a brilliant villainous portrayal. There are swords strewn out all over this area. Every time Jack goes for a sword, he casts fire over that sword, or Darkness uses pyrokinesis. It's like, boom, shoots out his hands, and you see the fire jet off of his hand, but also you see a burst of flame over the thing too. Basically, he's summoning fire. And he does it every time Jack tries to reach for his sword. That is a great way of showing this guy's smart. He doesn't want Jack armed. Not that he could do anything. And so Jack tries kicking him around, gets a good solid kick. But then he picks him. He's like, don't you know me, boy? And he lifts up Jack and then just throws him. And he sees that the unicorn horn, which has been lost in the cacophony of battle, is sliding into one of the fire pits. So he goes to reach for it, and he's like, or Darkness has his own sword, because Jack eventually does get his own sword, and they have a nice little clanging of swords and whatnot. But when he goes for the unicorn horn, he uses the his own, or Darkness uses his sword to actually conjure flame, which is actually pretty cool. But eventually, Darkness is like, every wolf suffers fleas, and you cannot defeat me. He brings up the wolf. He brings up the horn. Jack, he finally gets his hand on it, and so excuse me. Darkness is like, give it to me, boy. So he throws it like a ninja, or like a spear tip, into Darkness's chest, and Darkness is like screaming out as the sun starts casting off the reflections to go down into the dungeon where the battle is being fought. And it strikes Darkness with direct sunlight. And he screams out, "Father, protect me," as he's brought to an abyss of nothingness. And he is like, you think you've won, but you don't understand anything. What is light without dark? I am a part of you all, brothers eternal. Well, Jack grabs up Darkness's sword, slices off his hands so that he falls into the abyss, but also Darkness pulled out the unicorn horn and was using the unicorn horn to kind of keep him anchored. Well, now that Darkness is gone, you pick up the unicorn horn, and Lily still hasn't woken up. She's under a spell. Well, how do we lift it? Only you can solve this riddle. So it's like, and we'll be watching, but never forget us. Never. So then you get this song, or then we get the climax, or the nice little happy ending song with Loved by the Sun by Tangerine Dream. Gump returns the alicorn to the male, and he wakes up with the rising of the sun. Jack gets the ring, wakes her up by putting the ring on her, giving her a kiss. She wakes up, all is well. Jack and Lily are running out of the woods to be together, and they turn around and they see the unicorns and the fairy folk are waving goodbye to them. And then they show back to the fairy folk, and the song is really in its cacophony, and then it stops for a bit, and you see Darkness laughing in the dark again, still alive somehow, but it's reminding you that Darkness is still apparent. The balance must be maintained. So yes, Darkness was killed, but he is also still alive, because he's alive in everything else. And then roll credits. Is Labyrinth, is Legend a perfect film? No, it is not. Labyrinth is not a perfect film. There's cringe writing, there's brilliant writing, and then there's cringe acting and brilliant acting. The special effects of this film and the music, for great stuff. Objectively, however, because the story is not well done and the writing was atrocious in some areas, and as well as the practical effects in some areas looking a little bit rubber, plus lights being seen on the set, this drops the score down to a 7. Objectively, wasn't that good. Yeah, kind of sucked a little bit. Objectively, folks, that's without bias. Now, subjectively, with bias, I put this movie at about a 9. While it does have some problems, and while it does have a little bit of, or the UK version, I would put at about an 8.5. I like there's a third version out there that has the Tangerine Dream cut, but has some European cut scenes put into it. I like that version the best. That I would put at a 9.5. However, moviegoer, this movie is a nice little fantasy film that you can enjoy and watch and be entertained by. I mean, Tim Curry as Darkness, as a satyr, as a freaking devil with massive horns. Gosh, man, it's just good. Really enjoyed it. Anyway, folks, that is the review. Next week, hints for next week. Living Dead, Love and Revival is your hints. It's a film of living dead love and revival. Don't put it in the chat. Don't spoil it. But yes, if you can guess it, awesome. If not, well, I'll give more hints as time goes by. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Ruben Thomas, Vanja, Neozoic, Junebug, Super Sci-Fi, Stunning and Brave Megatron, and Elena. Thank you for all being or dropping in. If you guys like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know in the comment section below what was your favorite part of Legend if you have seen it. Have you seen both versions? Have you seen the very rare third version? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below, folks. See you next week at 2:30 p.m. You can find me tonight. I will be on my buddy Jacob of Society Reviews channel discussing some very controversial, or the Hollywood controversial topics, as well as other stuff going on. I plan to give a very brutally blunt opinion during that stream tonight, so stay tuned. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. You all have a wonderful day, and always remember to stay humble.